Alright, we're going to have our 1889 disassembly video. And I will include the bolt in this, because this one's a little different. But once you learn one, they're all about the same, but since you got each and every model. Okay, remove the bolt. Set it here. And remember, press this down, or we got to pull our, got our sheet metal block on there. Let's see if I can get it without having to pull it up. There we go. The sheet metal thing stayed on there. Out came the mag. Alright, now, next, we'll remove the barrel bands. Actually, I forgot we have to remove the muzzle cap. Like I said, you just push this here, a little shove, and off it goes. Okay. Screw right there. A little bit of a spring-loaded deal going on here. This is like a shell. You see it's, pick it up, and then it comes out like that. Okay. Now we will get the other one off. Okay, now when it comes to the rear band, this is a little bit different. If you notice, there's a spring in here holding this. So what you want to do is just loosen the screw up to where you can depress this and then slide the rear band off. Right. And also, if you notice, there's like a little shim in there, so be careful. Look for little shims and stuff inside the bands. Be careful when you disassemble. This is not a clamshell style like the forward one here. Okay, now we'll get the handguard off. Alright, now that we got the bands off, you will just gently remove the handguard. Okay, set that aside, very thin. And now if we look here, you can see where there's that piece of metal that free floats the barrel in there, which if you look down at the you look down in here, you can see it's obviously free floating. So that's kind of what the Swiss have with their accuracy. Kind of like the Gewehr 88 that had the metal handguard, was a free floating barrel. I mean, that's a free floater. Alright, the next step, I'm going to rest this on the metal, like that, and then basically unscrew it, hopefully be able to leave it right there. Okay, looking at the screws we have underneath, I know this is an action screw, and these two are, and this is probably just a wood screw that holds the trigger guard in. So what I'm going to do is loosen up the three of them. It's going to take a bit. You know, these two here and the third one. And I'll see if that metal part drops out. And then we can just leave the trigger guard and frame in there. Alright, I have our three screws loosened. There's 1, 2, and 3. This is the long one. This one here. Okay, now hopefully, yep. Now we got our stock off. The last screw down in here is a wood screw, and that just holds all this in. If you want to take that out and clean it or whatever, you can. But let's take a look at what we got. Now we got disassembly. Alright, looking at the underside with a lot of these old guns, when you get to the barrel, there's all kinds of stampings, markings, and things on there. Here's kind of a look at it. That's our little free-floating deal there. Be careful not to damage that. And we get to look at our mechanism here. And generally these guns are nice and clean. Another set of serial numbers down there. I gotta get a new camera. This thing don't like to focus. So not much in the marking department there. We'll look at the stock now. Stock has some inspection stamps, and the gun's serial number is on there along with some more inspection stamps. And like I said, I left the trigger guard net in there. I don't need to remove it. This is clean. I don't have any dirt, grime, or grunge under it or anything, so not too terrible. A lot of these Swiss guns are fairly clean when you get them. Alright, now let's move on to disassembling the bolt. Alright, bolt disassembly. This is how the bolt comes out of the gun. First step, if you look back, there's two slots here. Pull this back and get it to rest in between them. Okay? Then looking at the bolt, alright, you rotate the sleeve part to where this handle will move forward up here and gently come out. Okay? In other words, rotate this here where the locking lugs are. That goes in there, this piece here, so if we rotated it all the way over, we could simply line it up and place it back, but we got it out. Then take the rear section and unscrew it. Okay? Then this should slide right off. Now remember, these early guns, the lugs go towards the back. The next model, the lugs will go towards the front. So now you have your bolt, your bolt sleeve, handle, and then now, to get the firing pin out, there's two slots. There's the safety slot and then this straight one here. You want to rotate this in the back to relieve the spring tension by going down through the straight slot like that. Then, if you look, there's a notch. Compress the spring as best you can, and then you can slide the firing pin right off like this. Pull out your spring and your cocking handle. Now a closer look at that. Once you got the spring on there and that slides on like this. There's only one opening. Okay? So now, again, put this in the straight slot, not the one curved. Get the spring on. Okay, and you want to compress the spring and then slide that. Compress the spring. It's hard for me to do that on camera. and slide this back on. I had to pull it up against my chest. Okay. Then we take our bolt, and again this one lugs to the rear. Put it on, put this in, and I believe we have to cock this to get it back. I forgot a step. So you got the firing pin and spring on, pull this ring back, and rotate it to where you have the spring compressed and in between the two notches, just like that, okay? Then put the sleeve on, sleeves on the bolt, and then we screw this back in. Now, that's the top of the bolt. That's where the bolt's locked, closed. This is our handle. And what we want to do is line this up to the back groove and rotate that where the forward part drops in. And then slide the handle back and gently rotate this to where you have the handle, easy now, and then on there. And then I believe you rotate that like that. Yeah, that locks it in place. When you rotate this back to where it goes, it puts pressure on that where the handle isn't loose. And there it is. We're all set and ready to go back into the gun. Okay, now for the rest of the assembly. We got our stock. And what you want to do is make sure your little sleeve is all the way up against the front sight. And then just gently place it in the stock. Okay, like this. And make sure you got that forward far enough to where it's, okay, you got that lip isn't on the wood. That's about the only thing you'd have to do. And then we're pretty well seated here. Everything's down. What we would do is flip the gun over like I did before. And then put my screws in and tighten them down. Okay, resting on the metal, the stock should just drop on there kind of nicely. And I just put my 3 screws back into the action. Okay. Alright. There we go. Everything looks nice where it should be, in place. And we would just basically take our handguard. Okay. There is a lip here on the edge that goes up underneath the front sight. And that should drop right down on there. Nice, nice. Okay. We notice our little metal thing is protruding. That's where we want it. We gently put back the rear, snapping it over the lock. Put back the rear one. Then just remember to tighten the screw down to close up the barrel band, nice and snug. That's kind of why that thing is shimmed, I believe. And we take our clamshell job here. I think you gotta push the screw out a little, whatever, to get that in there. Okay, and tighten that down. Easy enough. Maybe slide that sleeve back a little towards you there. It's now, push that little sleeve where it's flush, because when you clamp this down it tightens that piece of metal with it. There we go. And while we're here, we'll put the dust cover on the end of the muzzle. There we go. Voila. Now to finish the assembly, we take the magazine, place it up in there. In there, and then just slide it up. Magazine's in, the sheet metal thing's still in place. Then the bolt. Get it started, get that in to the area there, that little guide thing, and reach over to press this. And there we go. Safety works. And we're done. So that's the disassembly assembly of the 1889 rifle. Hope you enjoyed it and it helps you out.